This experience starts with another very good question. How do you get water or liquids out of somewhere or something? This could be a tank of some sort that you cannot lift, a large mess that needs clearing up, or a leak in a boat. Children and adults might create this authentic context for learning by their own inquiry. Something happens in a setting which sparks the interest or question, observing children trying to get a liquid out or up. Or it could be established as a problem-solving inquiry, a more contrived situation where you would ask the children to help or show them a problem you want them to solve. Children may have pondered this problem before and found solutions such as using containers of different sorts to remove water. They may have good ideas for how to remove a liquid and established thinking about which implement works best. Larger containers or containers that are easily submerged to the bottom to gather up all the water. They may suggest sponges or paper towels or mop type solutions for removing the water, which are from their own experience. The authentic context of this is fun and engaging because children are manipulating a material which is messy and does not always conform to the ideas they may have about it. The problem solving and creative thinking skills are brought in by the questioning of how they might gather up the liquid. This is different to the problem of moving water from one place to another. We're challenging children to think about how water moves most quickly in principle by itself. Siphons, pumps, mops, paper towels and sponges fit very well with some of the other water experiences around rivers, flooding, dams and fountains that we've created as well. Challenging children to think how they might remove water from a space. Contexts such as boats taking on water and flooded areas are exciting contexts that children naturally create with water in their play anyway. Creative thinking skills can be developed and inspired by asking them what sort of resources they might use to solve the problem, introducing them to a range of new resources such as pumps and siphons. How do they work? What is happening to the water? Why does it move in that way? All of these questions could generate different inquiries and responses from the children as they explore. There are so many opportunities within this, and it should be emphasised that this is not an individual activity. Different items could be introduced over time to enhance and challenge their thinking. What is the best way or method to remove the water from a sealed unit with a small hole or a large expansive area where water doesn't neatly collect? Critically thinking about what they do comes from the experience as they experiment repeatedly within different contexts. The context of removing water from a tank may be very different to removing water from a large tray. Encouraging them to think comes from giving them many different scenarios and tools. The exciting context of a flood or removing water that is filling up an area fast leads learners to challenge themselves and sustain their own effort, to try something new or experiment with things that might make the job quicker or more effective. All the way through this experience, learners can set their own objectives and expectations because they ultimately want to achieve the most efficient way of removing water within that particular context. Good adult questioning will make them reflect on whether something works or what might happen if they do something differently. For example, if they're siphoning, does the width of the pipe make any difference to the flow? Does pumping or siphoning work when you get to the bottom of the area or container? Experiences such as this provide a strong drive for success and continuous effort. As they're self-motivated, children are having fun as they succeed or fail to get the water out or compete with the flow of water coming in. The children can keep numerical records, comparisons of time and evaluation of products or instruments, continually evaluating and trialling their predictions of what might be best or most efficient. They might invent or create their own best methods or instruments as well. A blend of approaches is offered as children are introduced by direct teaching to ideas they might not have encountered, such as siphoning or pumping in the context of water. Some direct teaching with regard to how to siphon or using a pump will change the whole experience and make them re-evaluate the processes or methods they choose. There are numerous opportunities for skills learning in relation to capacity measuring, addition and subtraction of water capacity measurements, in relation to time that are real in context and authentic. This direct teaching can be interwoven into the experience as the children play, or as we mentioned, by introducing enhancements through resourcing or adult suggestions over time. They take charge of their own learning by posing their own questions after the initial prompt. These questions become more detailed as they try to improve their ability to solve the problem. As they build up their range of skills in relation to moving water, they will be able to improve their efficiency at solving the problem. They might try heightening or lowering the end of the siphon to increase the flow. There are important elements of the digital competency framework which can be utilised with younger children by simple timed recording of how long a method or a container takes to fill or empty. And with older children, apps can be used to specifically look at flow rate. Children might look at how long a litre container takes to fill up in seconds from the source of water coming in. This is the simplest method for young children, but more complexity can be introduced with older children, and there are lots of ideas which will be relevant in relation to flooding and slowing down flow, which we've shown through other experiences. This experience, by its nature, is collaborative and requires a team effort as children grapple with trying different methods and evaluating their success. It's not always easy to evaluate while you try your best method. As previously mentioned, this experience allows for plenty of collaboration, both in small and large groups, as the children compete, discuss, share, and refine their thinking and ideas. The buzz and excitement of the experience, especially as something risks filling up to overflow, is infectious and guarantees a really socially positive experience. There will be lots of discussion around the rules for how they will decide best methods or tool to be used. This in itself has many opportunities for children to show and build on their own knowledge, sharing on what they might know or think they know, gained from foundation phase experience of how water works. Children are able to benefit at their own level by accessing this experience from different starting points. It works for multi-age groups because they can utilise the experience and resources to different levels. The most simplistic of these levels being, as something fills up, they explore how they take a quantity away. And if they do this slowly, it overflows, and if they do it quickly, it doesn't. The cross-curricular aspects involved are dependent on where you and the children take the experience, but could include things like humanities, developing an understanding of how human actions in the past and present can affect interrelationships between the natural world and people, and will heighten learners' awareness of how the future sustainability of our world is influenced by the impact of those actions. This might be in relation to the use of large pumps for controlling water flow in relation to flooding. The scientific aspects of the development of siphoning and pumps in relation to rivers, boats and water consumption could also be investigated. This experience is rich in numeracy by its very nature through all the hands-on ways we've mentioned already. It could be harnessed to literacy in a number of ways by writing instructions or recording methods, but also could provide stimulus for creative writing. You might use the experience as the setting for an inspired story or retelling of history. For example, the Titanic disaster or more simple adventures created by the children themselves. As an experience, to complement the new curriculum though, it provides another very open-ended discussion accessible for all levels. Many opportunities for learners and teachers alike in exploring learning in a playful, skills-based and engaging context.